Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, today we're diving into a topic that's honestly both fascinating and a little bit urgent. It's happening right under our noses in offices and remote workspaces everywhere. The rapidly shifting landscape of AI and what it means for your daily work. Because think about it, are you unwittingly training your own automated replacement? It's kind of the ultimate modern dilemma. Today, we're going to explore what actually happens when the very work you produce, the emails you write, the code you generate, the customer interactions you manage, is harvested to build the AI systems that might eventually take over those exact tasks. It's a profound shift in how we value human labor, and wrapping our heads around it is absolutely critical for anyone navigating today's tech-driven economy. Let's start with part one, the surface, the Gen AI shift and redefining work. To really get this, we need to look at the core difference between the AI of yesterday and the AI of today. As insights from MIT Expro highlight, traditional AI is basically reactive. It analyzes data to optimize a set path or make a prediction. Generative AI, though, it's proactive. It creates entirely novel content, whether that's text, images, or code, and it steps firmly into the realm of human innovation and creativity. But to make that leap into creativity, these systems need data on a massive scale. Take ChatGPT-4, which is estimated to use a mind-boggling 1 trillion parameters for its training. A trillion. That number just goes to show how incredibly data-hungry these systems are. They require an absolute universe of information to function. And as we're about to see, a lot of that information is coming directly from the human workforce. Now, to grasp the true economic impact here, we actually need to rethink how we define our daily grind. Using some great insights from Deloitte, let's look at the concept of work. Work is simply the final outcome you're trying to achieve, whether that's closing a sale, writing a final report, or building a brand new software application. And that brings us to a really crucial distinction: jobs versus tasks. See, generative AI isn't necessarily replacing whole jobs in one fell swoop. Instead, it's shifting the specific tasks that we execute to get the job done. Think of your job as your overarching role, while tasks are the individual, bite-sized steps you take to accomplish it. Naturally, completing those tasks requires skills. What we're seeing right now is that both humans and AI possess the skills to perform these specific tasks. So organizations are actively trying to figure out how to divide and assign these tasks differently between humans and machines. And that shift? It means a massive wave of upskilling and reskilling is coming for the modern workforce. And yep, that includes you and me. Moving on to part two, the deep dive, ethical dilemmas and power dynamics. This is where things get really interesting. Source material from Oregon State University provides some truly eye-opening academic analysis on this. Organizations are actively utilizing an employee data pipeline. They're harvesting daily employee work, everything from custom code to internal chat logs and reports. They gather these work products, process the data, build training data sets, and then deploy automation against those very same roles. You are quite literally generating the raw data required to automate your own tasks. Wild, right? And this brings up a very profound human element. As artist Carla Rotiz powerfully expressed regarding her harvested art, that data is my artwork. That's my life. It feels like my identity. When intellectual labor is taken without explicit consent, it genuinely feels like a loss of identity. Philosophers and academic researchers even describe this as a form of workplace humiliation and a fundamental violation of worker autonomy. It changes a worker from an active creator into, unwitting raw material. In academic circles, this whole issue is tied to a concept called contextual integrity, which is perfectly mapped out by Sullivan's taxonomy of privacy. Basically, it tracks how information is supposed to flow. In a normal workplace, your output goes toward current business goals, right? But aggregating those standard workplace outputs to train a replacement AI, that violates established professional norms and creates an entirely new, unconsented flow of your intellectual property. What you really need to take away from this is a concept researchers call the tyranny of the minority. Here's the kicker. Even if a few employees discover this harvesting and flat out refuse to consent to their data being used, the AI can still capture the entire workforce's skills from the data of the consenting or even just unaware majority. Once that critical mass of data is hit, individual pushback becomes entirely meaningless. So this invisible data harvesting fundamentally restructures workplace power. By taking control of the data, employers are actively, even if unintentionally, undermining collective labor power. It fragments work processes, isolating employees, and creates massive information gaps between the workers who are generating the knowledge and the employers who control the AI timeline. And if we look at the historical long-term decline in union membership over the last few decades, experts note that generative AI threatens to weaken that safety net even further. Historically, labor power relied on specialized human knowledge being really hard to replace. Gen AI changes the game by making that highly specialized knowledge easily replicable and replaceable. This power shift creates a severe economic fallout, too. Impartial academic analysis show that this kind of labor market polarization historically concentrates wealth strictly at the top. It compounds a vicious cycle of inequality, where the immense financial benefits of AI automation flow primarily to those who already hold structural power and capital, while continuing to shrink the middle class. To put this into historical context, labor productivity has already vastly outpaced hourly compensation for decades. Researchers point out that AI devalues your contributions psychologically and economically well before a single job is actually displaced. It does this simply by signaling that human skills are now just trainable data. We also have to recognize that the burden of this transition is highly disproportionate. According to data cited in the research, nearly 10% of women's jobs in high-income countries are at severe risk of AI-driven task automation. Why? Because generative AI specifically excels at clerical and administrative roles where women are historically overrepresented. The impacts of AI are definitely not felt equally across the board. Let's move to part 3, navigation, the accountability gap. When displacement does occur, we face what scholars call an algorithmic leviathan. Because these systems are highly proprietary and opaque, it is nearly impossible to pin down exactly who is responsible when someone loses their livelihood. Responsibility gets endlessly distributed among developers, outside vendors, and management. Plus, there's a massive temporal gap, a time lag, between when your data is collected and when the actual job loss happens. To try and close this accountability gap, professional and government groups are stepping up. The NIST AI Risk Management Framework, for example, emphasizes mapping, measuring, managing, and governing AI. It's all about identifying risks, maintaining strict transparency, and mitigating harms at every single stage of the AI lifecycle. It's an attempt to bring real governance to a space that has largely operated in the dark. Moving forward, impartial academic analyses suggest that navigating all this requires some very real grounded solutions. We're talking about mandatory legal transparency regarding where AI training data actually comes from. It means evolving our labor laws for the modern era. And most importantly, it means authentic worker participation, giving employees a genuine seat at the table when it comes to AI governance in their own workplaces, rather than just forcing it top-down. So here's the crucial point for corporate leaders, drawn directly from Deloitte's data. Prioritizing a human-centric, skills-based approach is statistically much more effective. Organizations that use AI to augment their employees' skills, rather than just viewing it as a quick tool to reduce headcount for short-term profit, are 63% more likely to achieve their desired results and yield long-term sustainable success. And that brings us to a close. I want to leave you with this final, profound choice facing systems developers, corporate leaders, and society as a whole today. We are at a crossroads. Will we use this incredible, unprecedented technology purely for short-term corporate efficiency and data extraction? Or will we consciously build a reality that truly helps humans thrive alongside machines? The choice of how we design that future is entirely up to us.